Hi there, it's your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward, and every Friday afternoon I host a live streaming Q&A on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. And this video clip right here was taken from a previous live stream, and it explains how to lose body fat without losing lean muscle in the process. Right away. How do you lose weight without losing too much muscle? There's a couple things you need to kind of wrap your head around when it comes to losing fat and building muscle. First off, we tend to not have as much lean muscle mass on our body as we like to think we do. I actually wrote a blog post about this, and if you go to my blog, leehayward.com, and search for you have less muscle than you think or something like that, or even if you went to Google and just typed in Lee Hayward, you have less muscle than you think, and you would get that blog post. And it really goes into detail about how our body composition works, especially when it comes to fat loss cutting. Because I'll give you an example. Let's just say we have someone who's 200 pounds and, you know, they're 200 pounds, they're smooth, and they think, well, maybe if I lose 10 pounds, then I'll be lean and ripped and I'll have visible six-pack abs. And then what happens is they go and they lose that 10 pounds and now they're 190, but they don't look any different. I mean, they still look exactly the same physique-wise as they did at 200, but now they're 10 pounds smaller. So in their mind, they're thinking, well, gee, I just lost 10 pounds of muscle. I didn't lose fat. But that initial weight loss that you experience whenever you follow a cutting diet, very often it's mostly water weight, it's intestinal bloat, it's excess water from glycogen, because when you consume and store glycogen in your body, that also retains water within the muscle cells. So, I mean, you lose a lot of that bloat and sometimes a little tiny bit of muscle fullness initially when you start a lower calorie cutting diet. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're losing muscle. Now, I mean, technically water weight is lean mass. So yes, you are losing some lean mass, but it's not the same as losing actual muscle tissue. But this really confuses a lot of people because they'll lose that initial 10 pounds or so and not look any different. And thus they think, well, I'm losing muscle, but it's not the case. You need to get over that initial hump in order to really get into the fat burning zone. So more often than not, what I recommend people to do, if you want to see how much weight you're going to need to lose in order to get a lean, ripped physique, is measure your body fat and do the math. Calculate out your lean muscle mass as well as your body fat mass. So in the case of, let's say we got a 200-pound guy, he's 15% body fat. So if we work it out, that's 170 pounds of lean mass and 30 pounds of fat mass. Again, this is a theoretical example. I'm just using it for numbers' sake. In order for this 200-pound guy to get a lean, ripped-looking physique, chances are he'd have to diet down to around 170 pounds. Now, if you're looking at the numbers, well, if he has 170 pounds of lean mass and he has 30 pounds of fat mass, would that mean that he would have 0% body fat if he got down to 170? No, it doesn't mean that, because like I mentioned before, a lot of the initial weight will be coming from water, intestinal bloat. It will be coming from water weight from stored glycogen. Not all of it is going to be pure body fat. So there will be some lean mass lost in that case, but it's not necessarily losing muscle tissue. It's just bloat and water. What would happen then is once you got down to that weight, let's say you got down to 170 pounds, you would be looking lean and ripped, but you wouldn't have 0% body fat, but it would most likely be low enough that you would have definition to show, you know, your muscle detail and all that. So the number one thing, most people overestimate how much lean muscle mass they have, and they underestimate how much weight they'll need to lose in order to get that lean defined look. As far as other strategies, there's some different things that we can incorporate. One, with your weight training workouts, make sure that you're still training hard and heavy within reason. I mean, if you lose weight and you follow a low-calorie diet, then your strength is probably going to suffer to some degree, meaning that you're probably not going to be able to lift as much with your big, heavy lifts. Like your 1-rep max bench press is most likely going to go down if you follow a cutting diet. You know, your max squat, your max deadlift, these big lifts are going to go down when you follow a cutting diet. But on the flip side, some of your other exercises may actually go up, like your body weight exercises. You know, chances are you're going to be stronger with those because as you lose body weight, you're going to be more efficient with doing things like pull-ups and dips and push-ups and lunges and different types of body weight exercises. So you may actually see an improvement in those, whereas the big compound lifts, you know, the barbell lifts, squats, benches, deads, overhead presses, some of those lifts may suffer. But nonetheless, you still want to push yourself and strive to train hard and in a progressive overload fashion, even while you're cutting. And that will help to preserve lean muscle tissue. Another big one that's going to help is making sure that your protein intake is high. I recommend, a minimum of 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass per day. That would be the minimum. If you want to go a little bit higher than that, that's fine. Another thing that can be very efficient and effective when it comes to maintaining muscle while losing body fat is to incorporate some form of calorie/carbohydrate cycle diet. There's multiple ways of going about this, but by strategically having high calorie, high carbohydrate days in with your low calorie, low carbohydrate days, it can help to reset your metabolic rate. It can help to refill muscle glycogen, help to maintain lean muscle mass as you're dieting. And again, there's different ways of going about it. One of the most basic ways that I recommend a lot of people start with is have low calorie weekdays. So say Monday to Friday, be really strict with your fat loss diet, low calorie, low carb, whatever you decide that your macronutrients will be in order to be in a cutting diet. Follow that all week long. And then on the weekends, bump up your calories by increasing your carbohydrate intake. And that will help to offset some of the lean mass that you probably lose while following the low calorie cutting diet. And by strategically doing that, you'll actually make better progress over the long term. So those are some strategies that you can implement. But the biggest one is to get your mind around the bigger picture of how much weight you actually need to lose in order to get lean and defined. And to help you with that, again, Google search Lee Hayward, you have less muscle than you think. And you'll get my blog post that goes into a lot of detail explaining this. And I even break down some numbers so you can visually, see how the process works. So I hope you found this video helpful. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to post them down in the comment section below. And remember, every Friday afternoon, I host a live streaming video Q&A where you can join me and get your questions answered in real time. And in addition to that, I recommend that you download the Total Fitness Bodybuilding app. It contains some of my best muscle building workout programs and fat loss cutting tips, and it's like having your very own muscle building coach with you 24/7 right on your smartphone. It's available for both Apple as well as Android devices, and you can download the Total Fitness Bodybuilding app right on my website at leehayward.com.